Blog Talk Radio.
This is the Wealthy Wednesday radio show with Lucy McMonagle, helping you create a lifestyle and business that you love. Lucy is an intuitive success coach who specializes in assisting and training for lifestyle and business success. As a member of your own university and an associate member of the Women's Speakers Association, she brings over 20 years of serial entrepreneurship, internet business training, and financial training to the table. Lucy is on a mission to empower and inspire holistic entrepreneurs to become wealthier. Let's begin that journey together as we welcome the host of the Wealthy Wednesday radio show, Lucy McMonagle.
Hello, and welcome to the Wealthy Wednesday radio show. This is your host, Lucy McMonagle. I really appreciate you listening today, and I wanted to thank you so kindly for being on the show. I would really appreciate it if you could like our Facebook page at https://facebook.com/Wealthy Wednesday Radio. Again, our Facebook page is facebook.com/Wealthy Wednesday Radio Show. The Wealthy Wednesday Radio Show is for holistic entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, fempreneurs, and small business owners interested in increasing their knowledge, education, skills, and abilities to increase their wealth. It's my goal to inspire and empower you so that you can become wealthier. And today I have a very special guest. Her name is Zoe Richards, and she is incredible. Let me get her on the line, and we will be able to find out more about her. Hello, Zoe. Are you on the line right now? Hi.
I'm here, and I'm lovely to be told that I'm incredible. That's lovely. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, Zoe, could you tell us a little bit about your background and where you're from? And
Yeah, sure. Well, you might be able to tell from the accent that I'm from England, although it annoys the Scottish and the Welsh when we say England, so we've got to say I'm from the United Kingdom. But I am actually English. I'm from the England part of the United Kingdom, and I'm from a place on the coast just outside Liverpool. Now, most people have heard of Liverpool because of either our famous football team, Liverpool football team, or because of the band, the Beatles, who were very famous around the time I was born. I was back in 1962. I'm an old woman now, apparently, according to my daughter. So I'm married. I've had a long-suffering husband, Rob. How the heck he's put up with me for nearly 28 years of marriage, I do not know. And then we have the most amazing daughter, Ellie, who is 22. She unusually got married at only 21, and she has given us a grand pup. So no kids yet, because she wants to do her PhD. But we have Peanut, the poodle pup, as part of our family. She's actually a toy poodle. She's a tiny poodle. That's my family background. But I'll very quickly tell you about my own background, as in my business background. I have a human resources background. I always feel like I should apologise for that. Nobody likes human resources, do they?
Not particularly. Not when I was in the human resource field either.
And I've noticed that in the US you've started to call it talent management. So clearly there's a cry to get away from being known of as HR. So yes, unfortunately I was a deputy director of HR for a huge organisation here in the UK. But one day I listened to my boss using the F word on me. Not that I'm a prude, but I just suddenly woke up and realised all I ever did was sit there and allow her to say the F word to me again and again and again. And I had enough. So I walked away, and I walked away with all the skills that I'd got, which was things like I have a master's degree in learning, I am an NLP practitioner, I'm a Reiki channeler, and I am also currently studying transformational coaching through to master's level. But at that time, when I walked out of my job back in 2007, I decided I was going to set up my own business. And here I am now, gosh, how many years later is that? 7, nearly 8 years later, and still going strong. And I love it.
Oh, that is fabulous. That's fabulous. So when you first started back then, how did you come up with the idea of what you were going to do? I mean, you had all these skills and these abilities, but how did you kind of put those together to begin with?
Well, actually, when I first walked out of my job, I should have said, actually, I've run businesses previously through the 90s. I was involved in 3 businesses in the 90s. So this was my second time of going into self-employment. The first time round, my husband and I owned a 6-figure retail business. I was also a partner of a radio station that we sold for 7 figures. I think it was £2.5 million. And I also owned my own management consultancy. So, of course, when I left my job, and I literally got up out of a meeting and walked out. So that's how I left. I had no plan. All the coaching I give to my clients about how to transition, no, I didn't do any of it. And so I walked out, and I honestly didn't know what I was going to do. But I had a hobby, well, I still have the hobby of photography. And a lot of friends were asking me to take photographs of their kids, or I had some friends who had bands, and they would ask me to photograph their bands. And I also had friends getting married who asked me to photograph their weddings. So it kind of happened by accident that I became a professional photographer. And so I then started to win awards, and so I became a well-known and well-respected photographer in this area. But also, in 2008, I think it was, I wrote off to one of the national photography magazines in the UK and said, look, I've got some ideas here for talking about staffing matters in relation to having a studio. So here's 12 articles I'd like to write for you for the next 12 months. And here we are, so that was in 2008, and here we are now in 2015, and I'm still writing for them, although now it's expanded into being about business matters. And it was through those articles that people started to approach me, photographers approached me, asking me to coach them. And my answer was always, oh, yes, because I've been training other people in coaching, I've been coaching, I've developed programs for large organizations in how to coach and set up coaching schemes in large organizations. So it just seemed natural. And alongside the photography, the coaching grew, all by accident. Didn't mean it once.
Goodness. that almost.
And I don't look back.
Oh, I don't think anybody would want to look back when their success just naturally flows out of what they love to do.
Yes, exactly. It does come from what it flows. And do you know, about 18 months ago now, I was at a Christmas do, and we were leaving quite early because I had a wedding to photograph the next day. It was one of my last weddings. And as we were walking down the edge of the dance floor, this woman walked past in front of me. And as soon as she walked past in front of me, I knew who it was, but I kept on walking because in my head it was like, oh my word, that's my old director. And then I suddenly thought, what are you doing walking away? You look amazing, girl. Turn around. And so I went over and said hello. And the reason for saying this is that as somebody who has fallen into what I love, I looked at her and realized, even though she was, or is, 5 years younger than me, she looked a good 10 years older than me. And then my chief exec suddenly appeared, my old chief exec. And again, somebody who's only a couple of years older than me, and she looked a good 15 or more years older than me. And it really hit me in that moment that when you do things you love, you can knock 10 years off you, girl.
Fabulous. We should tell all the ladies that.
Yeah,
10 years of your age. Yes, you must love it. You must love it. Because a lot of times, people will start their own business, but then all of a sudden they become a slave to the business, and that can be very rough.
Yeah.
So,
and I've been there. I've been a slave to the business at one point. But I would say it was probably the day that I was attacked by my landlord in my studio that I realized I was being a slave to the photography side of the business. He physically went for me. I didn't fall because I do bouldering, rock climbing without ropes. And I've got a very strong core as a result. And he got really angry, glazed over, his fists were clenched, and he was marching up and down. And in that one moment, I thought, I've been a slave to this business, and did everything from there to set aside the photography and simply focus on what I knew has been my calling for a long, long time. If only I would listen to friends and family who'd been telling me. But we never listen, do we?
sometimes it takes us a little bit before we can actually hear what the true message is. That's true. That's so true. Absolutely.
Exactly.
And so that basically is why you're a business coach now. Is that correct?
Yes. I do two things. I do business coaching and I have an online program, and both come from the two things of one being that I've got an extensive background in business, partly, I would say, failure in business. It's not all been successes. I have had some struggles and I have failed, and I do think it's important that people know that, because failing in business teaches you a lot more than easy successes, an awful lot more. I feel humbled that I have had the failure that I had, which was as a result of the recession, but it was also as a result of me having had it easy. And so when you've had it easy, you don't really learn how to be in business. So I'm very humbled by that.
That's true.
And then the other thing as well is my training. My training has also made it that I'm able to now coach and deliver my online program as well.
That's fabulous. So if somebody wanted to find you on the internet, is the best website to find what you do currently successrevolution.co.uk?
It is, except in England we call it .co.uk. I have noticed this in the US it's .co, but yeah, it's .co.uk. So successrevolution.co.uk. That's my website. And then on Facebook, it's facebook.com/being-a-success.
Fabulous. So when people want to look you up, they can go to facebook.com/being-a-success. That's BEINGASUCCESS, being a success. And now you mentioned that you've had a lot of successes and you've had a lot of failures in your businesses, and that has really helped you become more humble. And I wanted to know what kind of advice would you give to your younger you if you were just starting out? I mean, if you could actually be one of the mentors from when you first started, what would that advice be?
If she would listen, because that was one of her problems, if she would listen, I would first of all be saying to her, stop fighting, because I was always fighting. And what I mean by fighting, I don't mean physically fighting. I was fighting myself. I was fighting what people were telling me. I was fighting, trying to prove things, prove to myself, prove to the world. But, you know, that moment where you let go and detach yourself from outcomes, that's the moment when you can start to free yourself for success. The fighting, the trying to prove, the trying to be the best, trying to be the first person to do this, that, or the other, or whatever it is, the whole fitting in with a fixed mentality, a fixed mindset that we were brought up with through schooling, through university, through work, that just feeds us being trapped. That moment, so my advice to myself would have been, let go. Simply let go. Detach yourself. And in fact, I have a manifesting manifesto. And I think this would probably be the best learning if I could give it to myself going back, 10 years and probably longer actually. I would say this manifesting manifesto to myself. Say it, think it, feel it, believe it, forget it. And the forget it is in the context of detaching yourself, but it didn't rhyme so well to say detach it. So I changed it to forget it. So it's say it, think it, feel it, believe it, forget it. And that just allows me to be so much more chilled and relaxed about everything in life. So I will say what I want, I will think about it, I will then feel it as if I'm already there, and I will then just do the whole thing of believing in it so much that I know it's going to happen and I can forget about it. Actually, I've got to tell you this very quick story. This happens in everything I do these days. And an example of it is that we've recently sold our apartment and bought my dream house in the next town. And I was in the major city, Liverpool. I was in Liverpool and I was getting the train home. And I glanced up at the departures board and it said, trains to Southport, 11:11. and I thought to myself, 11:11, okay, so it's 11:06. Right, I need to run. I'm going to have to run to the platform. I'll just catch the Southport train. I got onto the platform, and the Southport train came in, and I thought, oh, hang on, I've not moved to Southport yet. I believe it so much, I almost got on the wrong train.
Oh, my goodness, that is good. That is fabulous. That's really when it manifests, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Oh,
Definitely.
I like that. I actually wrote that down because I want to make sure I start putting that on my walls. And I love writing down sayings from other people and really, really starting to experience it. Because I do know that when we can visualize it, we can believe it, and then we can receive it as long as we let it go, kind of like hanging on to a balloon that's meant to fly. If you let it go, it'll circle back around. So when you said you had some failures in business, what exactly did you do about it?
Well, the first thing that I had to do was assess my business model. Because the business model that had worked for a boom time wasn't the business model for a downturn. And so I had to review the business model, and I had to allow myself to accept that, okay, this business is failing. This was the photography business. And I had a studio in the most amazing stately home park, owned by a lord. And it was a most fabulous old stable block that I had that had an apex roof with all of the beams inside, absolutely beautiful, and that was my studio. But it, of course, cost me a lot of money, and so I did have to do the whole soul searching, and I also had to search through the lease to find out if I could get released from the lease. Now, at first I was told no, I couldn't, but I understand the law. Because of human resources, I do understand the law quite well. Obviously, normally it would be employment law that I know well, but I understand how to read the law in a way that I might not have done otherwise. And so I read through the lease cover to cover until I found something that was ambiguous, because I know that in law, when you can find an ambiguity, you can then work on that ambiguity, and usually you can get out of something contractual based on an ambiguity. And so that's what I then did. So I kept myself calm and I approached it as if I was doing it for somebody else, so that I could detach from the emotion. And then I changed my business model when I was able to extract myself from that lease, took over somewhere that was about a quarter of the price, in the city centre rather than on the outskirts of the city centre. And I also changed my pricing. I had to be prepared to reduce my pricing to get noticed. And then as I got noticed, I was able to increase, step by step, increase my pricing again. But you cannot afford to be, the expression in England is sew up yourself. You can't afford to be somebody who's going to hold on to the past and refuse to change. Because if you are too up yourself to be able to change, then there's only really one outcome, and that is complete failure. So being able to say, do you know what, it's now time to change, and it does include stopping paying myself for a while, and it does include, I think I paid myself about £100 a month. But the upside of it, of being prepared to change, by the end of that year, I was able to turn to my husband and say, all the bills are paid, I've got money in the bank, I'm paying myself again, oh, and by the way, I'm paying to take us to New York, and I'm paying to take us to see my cousin in New Zealand. And so I managed to turn it around. I think it was in about 5 months, the turnaround, from failure to that level of success where I was paying thousands to go to New Zealand and to go to New York. So it's worth being prepared to change what you're doing, and that has to be the starting point. What can I learn from this? What can I change?
Those are really good questions to ask yourself when your business isn't going as well as you like. And the flexibility is so crucial, especially these days when things move so incredibly fast.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
That's really important. Now, for your listeners, now, do you have a special gift that you're offering to the listeners? Is that correct?
That's right. But it's a 30-day success plan. Now, obviously, you'd expect with my business name being Success Revolution that I'm all about success. Revolution because that's movement. It requires action. You can't have success without a movement and without action. And so that's the revolution part of the name. And then success, because I believe every one of us has success at our fingertips if we will just allow ourselves to keep going. And so the 30-day success plan is based around that. It's about giving you the opportunity to go through for 30 days thinking about what is it that I am doing to reach my success. Because all too often it's us who hold ourselves back. Incidentally as well, Lucy, I did something this morning that I didn't intend to do, and listeners are welcome to come and join in the Facebook group I've got, which is facebook.com/ I'm hesitating because I think it says groups first, doesn't it, on the groups URLs, and then / Business Revolutionaries, and that's the plural, revolutionaries. Now in there today I've started a 30-day EFT challenge for business success. And so anybody who wants to come and join me is very, very welcome. There's quite a large group of people getting involved with it already and are loving the first EFT script, which is fear of success. And I've got to say that even though I consider myself successful as I did the EFT, I still noticed that tension you get. Well, for me, I get the tension in my solar plexus, and so I noticed the tension, and it released as I was doing the EFT. So that's two things people can get involved with. One is the EFT challenge, and the other is the 30-day success plan, which I think you've got a link for, but I can also send that to you again if I need.
Okay, so first, I'm going to give the website for the 30-day success plan. And then we'll explain to the people that might not know exactly what EFT is or what it means. We'll give a short explanation. I love the EFT personally, and then we'll give the website for the Facebook group that they can start today. So to sign up for the free 30-day success plan, the website is https // period, and then it's simplero.com /page /32397 business revolutionary. And that's
And of course, that's a difficult site because of the fact that it's on my Simplero sales page. So my apologies to everyone. If anybody would like it to be much easier, I'm sure we can find a way to give that to you.
We can also shrink the URL by using tinyURL. And if you simply go to the radio station, Blog Talk Radio / Your Own University, and if you click on the show for today, if you're having a rerun, this website is already on the posting, so you'll be able to get it there. And then this other fabulous program that Zoe is creating that just started today, which is April 8th, is for EFT, and that's for the first one is for fear of success. Zoe, could you explain a little bit on how you perceive what EFT is and what it does?
Yeah. So EFT is emotional freedom technique, and it's tapping, and there are certain points around our body where we tap. So the first one is what's called the karate point, the karate chop point, which is on the side of your hand. And so you tap there saying a script, and then you move up onto your crown of your head and then through different points on your body. Now, there are some people who perceive this as something incredibly woo-woo. And I've got to say, I'm incredibly pragmatic. I would class myself as woo rather than woo-woo. So I'm not I'm not fully into all of the... I never know of another word than woo-woo. I can never think of another way of describing it. In the past, we used to call it mind, body, spirit. So I'm not completely over that way, but I have a foot in the camp of the woo-woo and a foot in the camp of pragmatism. And so for me, with EFT, I see it as being a distraction therapy. And so as we tap and use the scripts, we distract ourselves from the negative thoughts. And by distracting ourselves from the negative thoughts, we are actually able to release ourselves from them. And so the original theory was around the fact that because we have meridian endings as acupressure points, that when you tap on these acupressure points, these meridian endings, that it actually changes the energy of the body. I have no idea if that is what's going on at all. What I do know is when I use EFT, I can change my emotional state, and I can change it from extreme anger to being incredibly calm within moments. I've done it when I got very angry recently in the car when a lorry almost cut me up on the road. It almost crashed into my precious car, and I love my car. And so I got very, very angry with the lorry driver, and immediately after that came up to some traffic lights. And as I stopped at the traffic lights, I thought, well, you could carry on staying angry, or you could EFT it. And so I did, even though I feel angry at the lorry driver, I deeply and completely love, honour and accept myself, and carried on tapping through the points. And by the time the traffic lights had changed, I was calm again. So I didn't have the emotion affecting me for the rest of the day. You can do it for old emotions as well. It doesn't have to be something recent. You can work on old emotions, limiting beliefs, self-sabotage. So tomorrow in the Facebook group, we're doing procrastination. So I'm doing a video that will be to help people work through procrastinating, because we all do it. Even people who tell you they don't do it, they still have their way of procrastinating.
That's true.
That's
true. That is so true. And what is that? It's facebook.com, and what is the name of the group?
It's so you just go into Facebook and put into the search box Business Revolutionaries, and you will find that the Facebook group will come up.
Fabulous. Oh, that's
and I'd be very happy to welcome anybody into the group, and then you can join in this 30 days of an EFT challenge to help you achieve success in your business. And it's pretty much, I would say, it's geared around getting yourself out of your own way. If you are not into EFT and you just come along to use it to get out of your own way, then it will serve an amazing purpose for you.
That's fabulous. That is really fabulous. So is for you, how do you balance being there for your clients and being there for yourself? And you have all of these Facebook groups going, and you're helping all of these incredible people, but how do you create a balance between this?
Well, first of all, I'm very fortunate because I'm 53 and my daughter is 22, married and got her own home. So, you know, I've got to say that I do admire the mums with young kids who do their own business and look after the kids. I was there, though, back in the 90s when Eleanor was very small. I started my first business when she was, I think, 18 months old or around about that. And it was hard, and so I do know it's hard to do that, particularly when you're on the phone or on Skype, or, you know, that moment when somebody needs you in your business and your child sees it as being, I want mummy. And what I learned back then was you need to have business rules to live by. And I still work with business rules to live by, and I give business rules to live by as an activity to my one-to-one clients as well. I have a set of questions for people to go through to create their own business rules to live by. And it's things like making sure you do have business hours. And if you've got young kids, getting the kids involved in creating your rules so that you can say to them, obviously not when they're too young, but if they're at school, you can say, do you know, darling, you know how you've got rules at school? Well, mummy's got rules at work. And so mummy's got to do this now because somebody's expecting it. But actually there's something that preempts kids as well, and that's to say to them, mummy's going to spend some time with you now and just play with you. And so play with the kids, and then when you walk away and get on with your business, they are less likely to want you. They want your attention when they've not had your attention. So they have to come first. But in terms of the balance between my clients and myself, I have strict rules, and so my clients, I pre-frame everything with my clients. So they hear me say it, but they also receive an email that tells them that these are my hours of work, this is when they can get hold of me, this is when they can't get hold of me, this is how long to expect an answer, it will take to get an answer, and I will be very strict. And so there are people who will send me emails when it's my 10 o'clock at night. I had one client who sent me an email at about 10 o'clock at night. Within 15 minutes, she'd emailed again. Within another 10 minutes, she'd emailed again. And she was pretty much saying, you promised me email contact, and you're not answering my email. So the next time we spoke, I had to say to her, you've got to realize you're in the US, and I tell you the hours that I'm available to you. But 10 o'clock, I think she was East Coast, so 5 o'clock to you is 10 o'clock to me. And so, even if it was 5 o'clock to me, it would still be the end of my day, and I wouldn't be contactable after 5 p.m. And I use it as well as a way of saying to clients, this is a way for you. I'm going to be strict with you because this is a way for you to learn how to be with your clients as well. Because we all must learn how to protect ourselves and protect our time. And then I have things like with Facebook, I've got very strict times that I'll be on Facebook unless I'm launching something, and then I'm in more because I'm actually doing business on Facebook. But I also have an amazing virtual assistant who does things appearing to be me, but it's actually Cindy who's doing it. And so that gives it the appearance that the business is working longer. But I'll say to people, after these hours, you'll get Cindy rather than me, so that people are aware that she's the one who's going to be responding to things. So it's about having those business rules in place and then being fair to yourself and living with the business rules. You can't moan if you give up on your own business rules.
That's true. That's true. That is so true. So speaking of business rules, I have a couple of sponsor commercials that I need to play to make sure that I honor the sponsor, Your Own University, that has taken care of the Blog Talk Radio. And I am going to play these commercials, and then we'll be right back.
Imagine having more time and energy to get everything done. Your body is in perfect proportion, your relationships are thriving, and you have enough time to dream. Would you like to know how to live that way? Divine in 9 is a full body, mind, spirit online wellness event that takes the struggle and drama that keeps you waiting to enjoy your life while you fix yourself and gives you the tools to live your best life now. No matter what your past might have you believe, you are divinely made and have a divine purpose. Sign up for our teleseries at antiqualibby.com/programs.
Ladies, are you one of those millions of women still suffering from the pain and devastation of divorce? 21 of the world's top divorce recovery experts will be available free at the Better Than Ever After Divorce World Online Healing Summit. Sign up today and access your free ebook, Living Again After Divorce, by Dr. D. Adio Moses at betterthanEverAfterDivorce.com. It is free and you deserve it.
Hugs. Empowering women to feel, look, and be their best. Sometimes we just need a hug and some inspiration to remember how great we are. I've been leading women who have suffered the pain and self-doubt that comes after abuse to their true beauty and power for decades. Tune in each Monday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 Eastern, when Hugs reaches out to you. Listen from your own computer at uscradioproductions.com. Learn more about me, Antica, and listen to past shows at antiqualibby.com. That's ANTIQUALIBBEY.com.
Welcome back to the Wealthy Wednesday radio show. This is your host, Lucy McMonagle. I am so appreciative that you're here today listening, and I wanted to thank you so kindly for taking time out. Today we have a fabulous business coach and the creator of the Sales Map, Zoe Richards. She's also a best-selling author and a public speaker. Zoe, how are you? And welcome back to the radio show.
Thank you. Good to be here today.
So you are an incredible business coach, and your business is Success Revolution. So could you tell me what sets you apart from other business coaches?
You know, I think it's the combination of pragmatism and transformational coaching skills. Because a lot of the coaches out there, in fact the majority of the coaches out there, are either strong on the business knowledge or they're strong on the transformation. But very few have both that they can bring along. And because I've got so much experience in running my own businesses, and I've had successes, and I know what it takes to have success. I know the 120-hour weeks that it can take at times to have success. And because I've had a variety of kinds of business, bricks and mortar business, being part of a radio station in a partnership, and running consultancy and coaching business, it means that the knowledge and skills I bring about business are broader than the majority of other people have. Most people who are business coaches, I find, have got business knowledge from being a business coach and not having actually run their own businesses. So that's very, very powerful. And then the transformational coaching as well, which you learn through NLP, and then I'm doing the master's through HMBA, which is Holistic MBA. I'm doing the transformational coaching to master's level this year with them, and that takes you up a level considerably. So I already thought I was a good coach with my transformational coaching. Boy, am I learning a lot through HMBA and doing the transformational coaching method. But it really does, using the transformational coaching approach, really does bring a different dimension, because it is then about dealing with mindset, dealing with the real change, and helping people walk away with knowledge about business as well as the ability to make the changes they need to make so that they can do what they want to do in their business. Because success is deserved by everybody. It's not one of those things that should be out there just for one or two. It's for everybody. So getting that mix means that you can achieve masses rather than just learning a bit about business or having a little bit of a transformation and still not having the business knowledge.
That's exciting. So basically you help people, your top categories of expertise is clarity with their business. You help them make money with their business, but you also combined business money mindset training and practical skills. And you have this incredible new system that you call the sales map. And this replaces the sales funnel. And could you explain to me what exactly is the sales map and how does it work?
Well, the sales map may be about to be called the business map, because I've discovered that there is a product called the sales map, unfortunately, so I might be having to change the name. So it may well be business map. But the idea is that, so you know about the sales funnel, that this is about a numbers game where you attract many people so that you can get them to be aware of what you do. You generate interest, so a fewer number of people are interested in what you're doing. Then you create desire, and so you've now got a fewer number of people who desire your product until you get to the point where you've got the call to action and people, a smaller number, buy from you. But the old sales funnel approach was actually designed in 1898 by, I think his name was Elias St. Elmo Lewis. And I just love that his middle name is St. Elmo. It's such a cool middle name. So he designed it when buying and selling was a completely different game. And so today, now that we're in the kind of world where people buy freely, they are very comfortable about buying things for themselves, and they drive the purchase process themselves, we need a different approach to how you approach selling to people. So the concept of the sales map that may well become the business map is that you have a town. Your business is the town. And you have routeways into and out of your town called roadways. And those roadways bring people to your town and they take people away from your town. And in your town, you have 6 stores, and the 6 stores have been chosen on purpose. And that's the library, the cinema, the bookstore, the cafe, the gourmet restaurant, and the boutique hotel. So the library is where you have all your free things. Anybody can access your library at any time. The cinema is where you put on your productions. So that's things like webinars, podcasts, video series. So it's actual productions. And I purposely chose the cinema because I've become aware of way too many webinars where people are just winging it. I want to get back to it being a production. I was watching a webinar earlier on today, and it's somebody that I really admire, and I really wanted to watch her webinar, but I struggled because she was struggling with the technology. She was also doing a lot of ers and erms, and while she had slides, she didn't really have a structure to how she was going to do things, so she kept on repeating herself. So it bugged me, I have to say. And I'm sure I'm not alone in getting bugged by the fact that people will do these long, long stories, all about their sob story, spend 10 minutes on something that's got any validity to it, and then go into the pitch. So I want the cinema to be that place in your business where you create a production, and it isn't necessarily about the pitch. It's about it being a product in its own right. Then you've got the bookstore, where the bookstore is where you've got your very cheap products. The cafe is your slightly more expensive but still cheap products up to perhaps your lower end of the mid-price range. Then you've got your gourmet restaurant where you have your true mid-price range and possibly a little bit higher than that as well. And then to your boutique hotel where you'll have a combination of your high-end products. And so that's, for example, the penthouse room in a hotel. And you'll also have a bit like late rooms. Do you have late rooms like booking.com, where you can get a cheap hotel room if you are prepared to wait until the last minute? And so you might have somebody who comes and stays just for one night in the cheapest room that you've got. Now, the idea with the hotel, with the boutique hotel, is that people stay in your town for longer. And so they're now going to experience other products that you've got in other stores. And I have an 8-step process that I take my clients through with the sales map, so that they can then create their own map as well. And it includes things like how to merchandise, because I think all too often these days, people are not being taught techniques like merchandising, which is what actually gets products to sell. Products don't sell because you've created them. Products sell because of how you merchandise them. And so merchandising is one of the main steps within the sales map process, so that you can follow through and make sure that you then get the sales.
Exactly. That is so true. A lot of times it's really about how you merchandise it, or here in the United States we call it how you market it.
Yes. It's more than marketing. It is more than marketing, and that's why I got marketing in the sales map, but I actually have separate the merchandising element. But you're right, it is part of marketing. But I think because it's been bunched in with marketing, that's why most people are missing it. And it's also why I've then separated it out, because I don't think people deserve to be missing such a fundamental part of what we need to do with our business. So marketing, absolutely, I'm totally with you. And merchandising is part of marketing, but it deserves to be dealt with separately.
That is incredibly business savvy. That is so true. Knowing the difference and actually separating them so that they don't get all mixed up is brilliant. That's absolutely brilliant.
Thank you.
So thinking about brilliant things, what is your greatest success to this date so far from all of the businesses you've had and all of the wonderful things that you've done for your clients and creating this incredible sales map, which is soon to be called the business map, possibly?
Yes. Well, I have to say that my true biggest success is my daughter. And I know she's not a business venture, but she is my biggest success. I think she's a most amazing woman. She has learning difficulties, not extreme, but she does have learning difficulties. She has struggled through her schooling, and she's now studying for her master's degree and starts her PhD in October. So I'm so proud of her. So she's my main success in life. But my main success in business, I actually believe it's from that point where I allowed myself to let go. Because my success is actually not mine, it's the successes of my clients. Once I was able to let go, I became such an effective coach for my clients. And through that, my clients achieved successes. So I've had the clients who went from $5,000 a month to $50,000 a month. I've had the clients who in 1 week turned over, we call it turned over in the UK, you call it income. Why we have a far more complicated term, I don't know. But the income of $43,000 in 1 week. I have another client who had income of $25,000 in, I think it was 5 days. And so these kind of successes are now the norm. And so I would say my greatest success to date is being able to let go of my ego and me being what it was all about, so that it could be all about my clients and they can achieve the successes they deserve. And I love that. And I'm loving through 28 Days to Your Best Month in Business, which is my online program. I'm loving how that is impacting on people's lives. And so that's a program where people get an email per day with a recording, in some cases 2 recordings. There's a workbook, so there's exercises as well. And through it, day by day, in a way where you're able to get it right rather than getting it rushed, you create your strategy for being able to replicate month after month what you're doing with your business that achieves you success, that achieves you your best months in business. So I'd say that it's people's successes through my coaching and through 28 Days to Your Best Month in Business.
And currently, you're going to be launching the next intake for 28 days for your best business or your best month in business. So how people would just go to your website, and how would they apply for that?
So it's going live. In fact, it needs to go live in about the next hour. So in the UK here, we're on 8:45 p.m. And so it will be going live by 10 p.m. tonight. And so it will be accessible. Now, this is going to be the last time that it will be available for an intake at $297. Its full price is $497. And I've also included a bonus because I've discovered that most people don't have a product designed yet or are not happy with the product that they've designed. But there's very few people out there who teach them how to design a product. So there's a bonus, which is the perfect product producer. The PPP, the perfect product producer. And so for $297, as well as having it reduced from $497, there's also this extra bonus of the perfect product producer that will be available. Now, this intake starts on the 4th of May. The 4th of May. In the UK, we call that Star Wars Day. Do you call it that as well? May the 4th be with you. Do you not call it that sounds good. May the 4th be with you. I'm going to write that down. I'm going to start saying that to all my friends. So I decided on that date because I thought, how cool to have the next intake start on Star Wars Day. That is really cool. Yeah, so may the 4th be with you, and that means that you can then have the successes that you want because the 4th will be with you. Anybody listening in is going, the woman's crazy. And yes, I am. I'm sorry. Actually, I'm not sorry. I'm fabulous. Being crazy.
That's fabulous because, I mean, a lot of that is your own personal, unique style, what I would personally call is your soul signature. And that's what makes you you. And being able to just let go of other people's opinion of you, it seems to be something that you've already achieved, and I believe that also has helped you to have a really incredible business and an incredible life from what it sounds like.
But you know, one of the biggest things, Lucy, for making that change and not worrying about what people thought about me was doing stand-up comedy. So I went off and I got trained in stand-up comedy, and I took to the stage as Molly B, B-double-E, and I don't bother Googling, you won't find her anywhere. I went on stage doing stand-up comedy. I got close to winning a competition once as well. We were on the clapometer, and they couldn't distinguish between the two of us, so they had to do the clapometer a second time, and the guy won. But so I got very, very close to winning. I was good at it, but I was so scared doing it as well. And that fear and putting yourself into the most vulnerable position you can ever be in taught me so much. And it taught me that it really doesn't matter what people think about you. And it also taught me how to be able to do presentations so much better. And I've had people tell me when I do my presentations now, they say, you've done stand-up comedy, haven't you? You can tell because you're really good at it. And so I think if anybody is thinking of doing presentations, doing talks and speaking engagements, going off and getting yourself training in stand-up comedy is probably one of the best bits of advice I can give you. It makes you stand out from the crowd.
That sounds fabulous. I might actually do that. In my 20s, I actually did a lot of stand-up comedy stuff, not on stage, but, privately, and that's probably why when I go on stage and I do my own public speaking, it doesn't faze me.
So do it.
Now I know. Thank you for that.
Do the training. Do more of it. You will love it. Even though it will scare the living daylights out of you, you will love it.
I will look into that. I definitely will. So is that one of the ways that you keep positive when the times get tough is because you've had the training in the stand-up comedy, or how do you keep positive during the tough times?
Well, I have a husband and daughter who laugh at me, which does help. My husband has an amazing sense of humour. He's the funniest of the two of us, but he would never go on stage for anything at all. So, that does help. But also, I have a friend who we text or email each other most days. I can't text her today because I dropped my phone into the toilet. So, and Siri won't shut up.
I'm so sorry.
I swore at Siri, and Siri wouldn't shut up, but Siri told me off for swearing. So I can't swear at Siri. I had to switch the phone off because for some reason Siri just will not shut up. Anyway, that was an aside, sorry. So my friend and I, we will email or text each other every single day. And the idea behind this is that no matter what day you've had, you have to share something positive. And by sharing something positive with each other, we boost each other because, of course, we don't know which bits are true and which bits are hoped for. Mm-hmm. And so I will say to her, I've had an amazing day today, I've been really busy, but I might not have had any sales. And she'll go, oh, wow, well done you. How good is that? I had a good day of sales too. But I didn't say to her I did sales, she just assumes it. And we'll do that kind of conversation. Mm-hmm. And the reason we came up with this is because we both used to own a retail business, and we both, in different towns, they were very similar retail businesses, but in different towns. And we both had the same technique. When the other shopkeepers around us would say, so what's your day been like today? We would never say anything about our takings. We would always just say, oh, it's been a good day for me today. I've kept myself busy. I've kept busy. Wouldn't say kept myself busy. I kept busy. And so that would make people think you'd had an amazing day. But more importantly, it got you to think you'd had an amazing day. And so we do that with each other a lot, and that helps keep me positive. Emotional freedom technique, I find, helps a lot when it's tough. And running. I used to run when I was in my 20s. I then had a really bad ankle break. I ripped the ligaments off my bone, and so I had a lot of floating bone around my nerves, and so I couldn't walk very well for quite a long time. And then when I was about 47 or 48, I decided to run a 5K. People could walk past me faster than I was running, but I was determined to run. Now, bear in mind, I used to run sub-60-minute 10Ks. I did this 5K in 53 minutes, so very, very slow. Now I'm up to, I can do a 10K in around about an hour, 10, 12, and I can do a 5K in about 33 minutes. And when I'm running, I do a meditation. And the meditation is a very easy, very, very easy one. All you do is you breathe in and out to counts. So it's like 1, 2, 1, 2. And by doing that, the repetitive nature of it makes it that you switch off from anything else in your head. And it's one of the best ways of letting go. So when times are tough, going out for a run, I find is one of the best things I can do. And I lost, you don't work in stones, 14 times 3, so 28, 42. I think it's about 42, is it? Something like that. I lost 42 or 45 pounds, somewhere around that, through going out. So it was worth it. It was worth doing it.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I'd have to agree with that. So we're coming on about 6 minutes left on the show, and I wanted to just touch on one more question, and then I was going to make sure that everybody has your information. A lot of people have this. Can you explain to us what exactly the shiny object syndrome is, and how do you handle it?
Oh, yeah, shiny object syndrome. You know, when you've got one thing and you see something else glinting out of the corner of your eye and you think, I must have that. Okay. So when you see courses that are for sale, or when you see a new piece of software that's for sale, and if you look through what you have purchased over the last 12 months, 2 years, and went through every single invoice, you would probably shock yourself at some of the things that you've not even used. But it looked good at the time. And there'll be things where there were no-brainer prices, $47, $99, $125, $147. And it will have felt to you as though, it's worth my while buying that because, it's a good price at the moment. But you didn't need it. So shiny object syndrome is where you are attracted to things that you may not need. How you handle it is by presenting a business case. So I do this with my clients. In fact, I have one client I recently stopped her, I saw in a group, about to spend a lot of money. And we just had the conversation a couple of hours before that she didn't want to be spending any more money because she couldn't commit to anything more. So I messaged her on Facebook and said, if you haven't already bought, don't buy. Get on Skype with me. If you have bought, email the person and tell them that you're having second thoughts before you've even accessed anything, and get onto Skype with me. And so we had an emergency 10-minute Skype conversation, and it was, present to me now your business case for why you need this program. And unless you can present yourself as if you are the board of your business, unless you can present yourself with a really strong business case for why you should do something, then the answer is no, I don't buy. So I've got something at the moment that I keep on looking at and going, I'd like to buy that. I would like to be part of it. I don't want to be left out. And I'm having to do the whole, okay, and what would it actually do for you? Have you got the time at the moment to do that? Can you actually only get that through that program, or could you buy a book where it's cheaper? And so I've gone onto Kindle and I've bought the book, and I decided that for, I think it was $4.99 or something like that, I would see if I can understand what this guy is talking about from his book before I commit to his program. And so far, I'm learning a lot from his book, so I think it's worth it. But yeah, handling it is all down to present the business case to yourself as if you are the board.
That is the best answer I have ever heard for handling the shiny object syndrome. And, for a lot of people who are just getting on to online businesses, there's so many different products. There's so many different incredible people training and teaching so many different aspects of business that it's overwhelming at times. And the too much information, too many choices have really caused people to shut down their brilliance from creating because they're so bogged down. So from now on, I'm going to actually look at anything that I will look at buying and present a case. And
if you're in work, if you're employed by someone, you'd have to present the business case as to why you could spend it. It was right for you to spend that money. Well, just approach your own business in exactly the same way.
That's fabulous. That's fabulous. So thank you for being on my radio show. We have about 2 minutes left, and I wanted to make sure that if anybody wants to get a hold of Zoe Richards, her website is www.successrevolution.co.uk, and I'll let you. And how do they get a hold of you on Facebook and facebook.com/Vienna And then do you have a Twitter account that you would like people to tweet with you, or no?
Yep, I'm at Being a Success, and I also use #SalesMap, so you can find me with either of those. Oh, and I also use #Business Revolutionaries. And of course, anybody who's listening in is very, very welcome to ask to join the Business Revolutionaries Facebook group. So just go into the search box on Facebook, put in Business Revolutionaries, and the group will come up. And I'm happy to accept friend requests as well. I approach Facebook as being it's all business, although I will use the occasional swear word on my own profile bit, so but it's only the occasional one. I'm just thinking about the fact that today I wrote up about the fact I dropped my phone and I put in what I said to Siri.
Oh.
I don't very often swear. So yes, anybody's welcome to send me a Facebook friend request as well if you'd like to.
That sounds fabulous. Well, we're going to wrap up this radio show with our exit commercial, and thank you so kindly, Zoe, I will talk to you shortly, and I'll be sure to check the Facebook group.
Great. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Wealthy Wednesday radio show with Lucy McMonagle every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. Join us next time for more in the way of expert interviews with excellent guests and entrepreneurship and business tips that'll help you better your personal and business life. For excellent resources and to personally contact Lucy McMonagle, visit lucymcmonagle.com. Until next time, so long, everybody.